Hello, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. I'm the host of this program, Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I do my best to bring you powerful and fresh content each and every time. Today I want to start the year with a bang. I'm bringing Mr. Seatla Ratshosa, who is a businessman and a former banker with whom I have a long relationship. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Ratshosa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mo.
Yeah, we're going to talk about 10 nuggets of wisdom on wealth creation. Mr. Seatla is an expert in this field, so he's going to share his insights and his professional experience in this field. So I'm going to be prompting him with 10 key points, and then he'll respond accordingly. Would you care, before we start, Mr. Seatla, just to tell the viewers about what you do and where your office is at and what you're about these days?
Yes, thank you very much again. And let me just say hi to your viewers out there. So I've already been introduced. The name is Seatla Ratshosa. I'm a former banker. I'm a former insurance advisor. So I've been in the financial services industry for quite some time. And over the years, we have realized that there are gaps when it comes to what we term wealth creation. So we have quite a number of people who believe in certain things and they stick by it. Some believe in real estate investing. They believe it's a proper way of creating wealth, which is good. Some believe in stocks, which is good. Some believe in investing in the bank, saving money. So all those are different styles of creating wealth. But what we have observed is that if you stick to one and you don't diversify, you don't understand the other arms, then you might find yourself in trouble when the economy shifts.
Yeah.
So what we do, we run a business called Ignite Wealth.
Ignite Wealth.
Yes. Our offices are in Block 5, Mountain View Mall, Office 9. So what we do there, we've really tried to consolidate what we think a client needs to know in terms of wealth creation. We get experts in real estate, we get experts in the stock market, experts in banking and in insurance, so that when we approach a client, we can offer them a holistic offering in terms of teaching them about wealth creation. So we have various partners in those various fields to try and give our clients something a lot more valuable.
With that powerful introduction, let's get right into the meat of the issue.
Yes.
I want to ask you about the wealth formula. Who came up with this wealth formula and how does it apply? I've heard it said that there's a formula for wealth.
Yes.
Can you break it down for us?
Yes. So this formula was created by Thomas Stanley. You might know him. So basically,
Like Next Door. He wrote.
He wrote The Millionaire Next Door, The Millionaire Mind. So what Thomas Stanley says in the wealth formula is really to establish where you should be. So that's a starting point, right? You have been earning some income over the years, or you are earning income now. So we just try to establish where you should be in terms of your real value, right? So the formula says that you say 10% of your age multiplied by your realized annual income. That should give you a picture of where you should be in terms of net worth, right? So if you find yourself below that amount after
let's take an example of somebody who's 50 years old.
Yes. So a 50-year-old, let's just calculate it quickly.
He's 50.
So if you are 50 years, 10% of that
is 5.
Would be 5, right? And then we multiply 5 by, say, your annual realized income is
let's say you get 100,000
or 100,000, right? That times 100,000, then you should have a net worth of 500,000. So your net worth will include your cash at bank. It will include your unencumbered properties, right?
The value of your home.
The value of your home, right? So equity will be part of it. So if you are above 500,000, then we know that you fall under what we call affluent wealthy people. And then if you fall below, then we know that you are a high spender.
Yeah.
And you are really not, you are lagging behind when it comes to creating one.
And I'm sure the viewers will take full advantage of your courses, and so you can go into greater detail.
Yeah.
But that's basically in a nutshell what it's about. I want us to talk about the second nugget, which is about wealthy people spoiling their kids.
Yeah.
How do you think, which is a problem, how do you think people who are successful, even in middle class people, how do you think they should treat their kids insofar as money is concerned, insofar as spending is concerned?
Yeah. So part of creating wealth, Mr. Mogobe, is to ensure that there's continuation. You want to leave what you've worked on for future generations to continue. That's how generational wealth is created. So our children are a very, very, very key factor in that formula, right? So what you do with them, what you show them, what you teach them is very, very critical. Because when they are very young, they absorb a lot of things quickly. Right, so when they are young and you are always showering them with presents, buying them toys corner to corner, yes, you are a loving parent. But the challenge is that they get used to a consumption model. So when they grow and you try to tell them to save money and not buy something that they like, a new car, some new sneakers, a new phone, it becomes very difficult. So those are some of the things that we need to
have
be wary about.
Mentality.
They get the entitlement mentality. Yes.
So how do we fight against that?
So what we need to do is to start teaching our children about money as young as 4 years old. When they start needing sweets, right? We need to give them a pula and then allow them to be the ones who are purchasing the sweet, right? You need to give them some chores and they can earn some income, right? They need to feel the pinch of moving money from your pocket and buying something, and then tomorrow you don't have anything to buy with, right? They need to feel that at a young age.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the dangers of spending. I've had so many people saying they have too much month at the end of the month instead of saying they have money at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Tell me what are the dangers of overspending and how can we address that?
Yeah. So overspending, like the point that we've just spoken to about children, most of the time you find that we grew up like that, right? Everything that you were given, you consumed, right? I remember growing up as a child, we used to be given pocket money. Every day we'll be given pocket money going to school, right? And the main goal for the day would be to spend all of that money because tomorrow you are getting again.
To squash it.
Yeah. So that's the same mentality that, more especially the middle class people who are employed, that's the trap that they fall because they earn an income at the end of the month. They make sure that it's finished before the next payday, right? And so they overspend. So if you look at the formula that we have spoken to, the first one, right?
Yes, the Stanley one.
The Stanley one, right? If you overspend, by now, if we calculate your net worth, we will find that you have zero net worth. We have people who are earning $1 million in a year. They have zero net worth. Why? Because they can tell me about their car, they can tell me about their house, which is all under a mortgage, which is all leased. So when you calculate the formula, you find that there's nothing really that they can leave for that children.
When time comes for them to retire, it's a big problem.
It's a big problem.
All right. Now, let's also address another common issue, which is the idea of owning a holiday home.
Yeah.
In terms of the real cost, what's involved. Are there any points you want to share with regard to that?
Yeah. So actually, I used to think that only the super wealthy had holiday homes. But when I brought it closer to home, I realized that a lot of our people, Botswana and us included, we also own holiday homes. And a holiday home can be a home in the village. And we find that a lot of people have got a home in the village.
So they have 3 homes, one Moraka, one Massimo, and one at the village.
Yeah.
And then sometimes also in town.
And sometimes also in town. So those are holiday homes. So if you look at the cost of actually owning a property, that doesn't earn you any income, right? You have to maintain that property, isn't it? Sometimes you have to get someone to stay back at home so that they can take care of the property, clean it. You pay them, you also take care of the property. So it costs a lot of money. So if you look at the return on that investment, because it should be an investment, if you are going to put money in a property.
So what do you advise about people should do?
So my advice would be, depending on how often you go home, because there can be quite a number of reasons why you might want to do that. And one of the reasons that I feel it's very important is if it creates good quality time for you and your family. That is something that we can't really put in the wealth equation, because
you go there to unwind.
You go there to unwind,
to reconnect, yes.
To recollect. But then you have to consider how often you really do go there, right? If you go there 2 days in a year, it might not really make a lot of sense to be owning a home in the village. It will actually be cheaper for you to rent out a holiday home from someone for,
or even rent out a portion of it.
Or even rent out a portion of it.
Are you talking about turning it into an Airbnb?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, there's another point I want us to talk about, which is the choice of a habitat, the choice of a home. I know you have some interesting ideas on that. What's the importance of that subject, and how do you think the listeners should handle that?
Yeah. So we've realized that the main challenge that people have, it's not really the money, the lack of or having a lot of it, right? Some of the things that lead us to overspending, right, is the choice of where we stay, because you see your environment tends to influence the decisions that you make. You obviously know the impact of peer pressure. If you are surrounded by people who are smart and are always trying to do good things, you tend to be one of them, right? So if you stay in a neighborhood where kids are studying at Northside, people are driving Range Rovers, they holiday in Cape Town, they holiday overseas, you are most likely going to want to
keep up with the Joneses.
To keep up with the Joneses. So that's a big challenge, right? If I may give another simple example about using materials to influence our spending, right? If you were staying in Block 5, a middle income household, it doesn't matter how much you earn, you are staying in Block 5. So many people there are middle class that are driving your middle class type of cars. Children go to school in a middle class type of private school. And then you decide that maybe you want to buy an expensive Mercedes-Benz. Right. What will normally happen is you will change the way that you think. You'll start to become a bit uncomfortable, right? Parking it there because it's very near Mogoditsani. Guys might want to hijack you anytime, right? You might start thinking about relocating, right? Now that you own a Mercedes, you feel you need to relocate, and every time to a safer place, and every time when you go to service the car, the guys that you meet at Nalib, they're always telling you, we have this neighborhood plan in Pakalani and Mokolodi, and you feel like I need to be joining them. So those are part of the things that cause people to spend quite a lot.
It's a very interesting subject. I really want us to spend more time on it, maybe in a future episode.
Yeah.
But I want us to talk the next 2 points on being defensive and being offensive in terms of your financial posture or your approach to investing. First, let's talk about being defensive. I want you to give me examples of how a person can be defensive and the importance of being defensive.
Yeah. So if you study The Millionaire Next Door, so what Thomas has done, he did interviews with some deca-millionaires in the States.
Deca means 10 million or more.
Yes, 10 million or more in the States. And what he has found was shocking to a lot of us in terms of what they really do, what they spend on, the things that they like, where they like to holiday. So most of what we think millionaires do It's not what they actually do. But the people that we have been imitating for quite some time are what we call a glam millionaires. So your glam millionaires will be your movie star.
The ones who are always posting on Instagram.
The ones who are always posting
on Facebook,
Instagram,
showing off fancy things.
Right? So what are the chances of you becoming a glam millionaire really? It's a small percentage of those people.
Glam is short for glamour.
Oh, for glamour, yeah. So it's their job to do that, to buy a Lamborghini, post it, buy a big house, 3 big houses that they don't even stay in.
Some of them just rent it for the day.
Some of them, they just rent it for the day. Some of them are endorsements, so you don't know that. But what he has realized about people who have actually created their wealth, right? They are big savers. They are big defenders, right? He spoke a lot.
Hence the word defensive.
Right? So what they do, most of them, they will be maybe employed, earning an income, right? So how do you create wealth? You don't have a business, you are earning an income, right? You need to save more than what your what people will perceive to be a normal saving principle. So what he has
is there a percentage involved in that regard?
Yeah, normally there will be advice of 10% saving, 10% investing. They try to vary the two, but real millionaires who created wealth through an income, right? They saved way more, even 50% of their earning, right?
Up to 50%.
Yeah, and the trick to achieve that is to follow the other steps that we spoke about before. Your spending, where you stay, what you drive, who you interact with, because those things can influence how much you spend. So if you can try to avoid those, right, and stick to your lane and say, this is what I want to achieve. So for me to be able to do that, I need to do this. One other thing that is quite key about being defensive is you need to know your spending habits. You need to track your expenses, right? Because in business, if you don't know where you are losing money.
So not only do you have to budget, but you have to keep track even after budget.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you need to always track and say, I've spent too much on airtime, I've spent too much on traveling, what was going on, what was the cost, right? How can I cap this, right? Anyone who's not careful about that are less likely to create wealth. Right.
Like they're guaranteed to not create wealth.
They're guaranteed to not create wealth, right? And then there's another trick, right? So you can be offensive, right?
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
Yes.
Being offensive. Examples and the importance of that.
Yes. So you can be offensive as a way to create wealth. So the offensive ones, we're talking about the guys who are really aggressive at creating an income. Right, who are out there. Sometimes your professionals, they can make a lot of money. Your attorneys, doctors, specialists and consultants, they can make a lot of money in income, right? And they can create wealth. But what is often found in that class is that they tend to also spend a lot. They create a lot of money. They spend a lot of money. Because most of the time they
like a treadmill, they're in one place.
They're in one place. Yeah, they're in one place. So if you want to get wealth quick, right? If you follow those 2 steps, being defensive and being offensive at the same time, then it will be quicker.
Offensive is about what? Creating more income streams, or what?
Offensive is about creating more income streams, really, or if you are a professional in that particular field that you are in, right, you can press more and make more money. I mean, if you are a lawyer, for example, right, you can make money just on that income stream, right? You can get bigger clients. You can do big cases. Employ more lawyers. Earn more income just on that field. So you find that most professionals, they make money from a single source of income, and they make a lot of it. But if they don't save a lot of it, they don't create wealth.
Let's talk about another aspect of wealth creation, which is insurance. How
Yeah.
important is insurance, and what's your take on it?
Yeah. So there are a lot of misconceptions around this term. I think because Botswana really it's not a very mature market when it comes to economics. and people deem insurance as an entity which only takes and never gives out anything. But what people fail to understand is that insurance, just like the term, is to ensure that you reach whatever goal that you want to reach, right? If you are saving money, if you are investing money, insurance ensures that no emergencies will actually affect those pockets. Because if I may give you an example, if you are in a journey to create wealth and you are running a business, right? Your warehouse is not insured, your cars are not insured, right? Your employees' lives are not insured, right? What happens in the event of fire, which is a very simple example, right? And you are very, very defensive. You save a lot of money, which is very good, right? So you have 10 million saved up. The warehouse burns down, right? Maybe you will need 6-7 million to restore, right? How long has it taken you to save up 10 million? Probably 20 years or so. But in a day's time, you have to use all the money.
It just takes one event, one cataclysmic event to wipe you out.
To wipe you out. So that is the importance of insurance. Yes, you have to pay some money towards it, but that is money that should be budgeted. That is money that should be there to ensure that you are not disturbed in your path. And then there are so many other insurance products that are there that ensure that you can create wealth, including your life cover. Because you are in your journey. Maybe you are saying that in the next 20 years, this is what needs to happen. And I want to create this legacy for my kids, right? What happens if your life is cut short in a year? Does it mean that you shouldn't achieve what you wanted to achieve for the next generation, right? That's what really a life cover ensures, right? You take a cover of 20 million, knowing that you have a 20-year plan, right? If anything happens, your kids still have money that can go to that trust, that can go to buying them real estate, all the things that you had wanted to create while you were alive, but you couldn't. So you are basically taking the risk from you, giving it to somebody else by paying them a fee every month.
Okay. Another subject I want us to touch on, thank you for explaining that one so beautifully. Another subject I want us to touch on is, and I noticed that you've invested a lot in studying wealth. Why do you think the viewer or the listener should invest like you in wealth education?
Yes, I think just like any other thing that you might want to get involved in, it's very important that you understand the subject matter. If you don't understand the subject matter, you will always make a lot of mistakes. If you are going to start a project in the cattle post, right, you are going to start a farm, you need to learn about animals, you need to learn about the farm life, what farmers need, what farm managers need. You need to understand the language so that even when you are speaking to your employees, or you are thinking of expanding and developing, you really understand what you are talking about. Otherwise, people can take advantage of you and take away the things that you have worked hard for. So in wealth creation, it's also important for people to understand even the simple terms, like a balance sheet. What does it mean when somebody says, I need to grow my balance sheet, right? An income statement, what does it mean, right? And because when you understand these terms, we find that
between profit and cash flow,
the difference between profit and cash flow, all those things. In my banking days, I worked a lot with businesses, and one thing that I found amazing was that there were people who are quite fortunate. They have very good business models, right? But they just didn't understand the concept of cash flow, right? And then their businesses will get into trouble. They will not come out, and then it will just end there. So it's very important for people to invest in the knowledge, right? I'm reading books, I'm going to seminars which talk about wealth creation, which talk about the language of money.
Absorbing content online also.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Now, number 10 point that I want us to share is on estate planning. People don't write wills. I think it's fair to say 95% of people don't bother with wills.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about estate planning?
Yeah, this is the most critical part about wealth creation. If you understand what wealth creation really means, then you will know that without a will, it will end with you, right? Everything ends with you, because a will is really what you want to see.
Put it very dramatically. Without a will, it all ends with you.
Yeah. So when you draft a will, you are really saying what you want to see when you are not around, right? Yes, you have children. Yes, you have a spouse. And most people will tell you that no, all my children are insured, I've covered them. They think they have a will because they have an insurance policy where they've allocated 10%, 10% to their children, right? Yeah. And in my experience while I was working in insurance, I used to work under pensions, and we used to do benefits for beneficiaries and stuff. So we used to see horror stories. You see a child, an 18-year-old inheriting a million pula from their parents, hard earned money over the years. Now the parent is gone, now the child is inheriting all this money. And in less than a year, all that money is gone.
Because they have no skills, they don't know how to maintain the flow.
They don't know how to maintain the flow. And sometimes one might say it's unfortunate because I died before I could teach my children, they were too young, right? It doesn't matter. As long as you have a plan, you can ensure that your children will get the right learnings from your will. Because can
you make it a condition that the child will not have the million until they've done a course in financial planning?
Absolutely. I was actually trying to get to that because in your profession as a lawyer, I'm sure that you have done wills before. And one thing that we always tell our clients is that a will is not restrictive. You can state the terms that you want. You state what you want to see. So sometimes, if it's $1 million that has to go to your eldest son, you can put a condition like they will only get $1 million once they have graduated from college, or they get half of that, and then they will get the other half when they've gotten married, or they can only inherit half. And then the other half will be for your grandchildren. If they don't have grandchildren, then the money has to go to charity or something. So you can be so strict in your will. That is what wealthy people do all the time. That's why it seems that even after they are gone, it seems like it just continues like that. Yes. So if you are strict on the will, it doesn't, even if your children are so reckless, they will have to at some point realize that we are not going to get there until we do something. So you can imagine someone who's trying to get a degree because they want to access money. They don't realize that getting that degree will teach you a lot of discipline. Yes. So while you are on your journey to get a degree so that you can get to the money, the degree is teaching you a lot of discipline.
Yes, it's opening your mind to all sorts of insights and learnings.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Yeah. Now, I always give my listeners a bonus, Mr. Ratshosa, and it's going to come from you. I want you to talk in terms of the importance of a financial planner. An average Motswana never thinks of having somebody that they go to as a financial planner. What are the pros or if there are cons, pros and the cons of looking for a financial planner?
So I always try to tell my clients to look at it like getting an attorney or getting a doctor. So you are basically saying that I don't have time to go to school and study these things, right? You have gone to school, you have studied, you know more, you study more, you know the market more, and you will be best placed to advise me on areas like this and this and this. And then secondly, even if you can make an effort to try to learn about wealth and understand all the skills, right? You have your core business, right? A lot of people have their core businesses. Either you are a doctor, you are an engineer, you work somewhere, so you are busy with something. You want someone who is always looking out for you, and they can give you advice as and when. If you follow the story of Henry Ford, you know that Henry Ford had a lot of advisors, and he would say that at a press of a button, I'll get my lawyer giving me expert advice on legal matters, get my doctor expert advice on medical matters, get my financial advice. So that is what you need if you really want to grow your wealth.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ratshosa. You've been an excellent guest. How do people reach you, and any last words before we conclude our conversation?
Yes. So for us, this is a passion, Mr. Mogobe. This is something we do because we feel that Botswana need to be empowered. Botswana need to know. Botswana need to understand. We've gone through a period of educating people. We've gone through a period of earning. Now it's high time that people learn how to make money to work for them and for their children. It's very important. Our household debt in Botswana is very high as compared to the deposits that we have, and very few people in Botswana actually own the deposits that actually allow banks to lend out money to a lot of us.
They can't even come up with the 10-20% needed. If you need a mortgage,
they can't. They can't. That's why banks are all over the place coming up with, will give you 110%. You know, and when we advise you in creating wealth, we tell you that that is not really good. That is bad. You need to have some equity when you start that investment.
Skin in the game.
Yes. So our offices, Mr. Mogobe, are in Block 5, Mountain View Mall, Office 9. We can always be reached at 311-7036. That is our office line. And then we have a WhatsApp line, 72916745.
Say that again.
72916745. That is our WhatsApp line. And then we have a Facebook page. It's called Let's Be Real with Dr. S. So basically in that page, we just talk about various matters that affect.
I'm sure this interview will find its way to that Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay, let me take this time, sir, to thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule. Thank you for sharing with us. And you, dear listener, please don't forget to like, and more importantly, subscribe to this channel if it's your first time here. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr.
All right.